Alrighty, Enzo. So, getting to your video here, we are comparing you to Max Scherzer right now. We're going to turn this on specifically for this. Actually, let me see. Yeah, that's even better. Okay, so, perfect. So, right now, we have you and Max Scherzer linked up. And you and Sal are both, there's two types of pitchers. There's drivers and accelerators. Your accelerators are guys like Trevor Bauer and Jacob deGrom who instantly go as soon as they lift their leg up, right? They're already going towards home plate. Drivers are using all their force and putting it into the ground, which is what you'll see here in just a second. So right now, I'm just going to play them simultaneously. And you're going to see something here. So for the most part, very, very identical. But let's break down everything, right? So let's get to this part right here. I want you to notice something, okay? So keep an eye right here on this front leg and what it does versus Scherzer's here, right? Look how far back your leg goes versus how far back Scherzer's leg goes, right? That's something you already noticed. And then, right, we're going to clear that. So there's one thing, okay? So I'm just going to keep those few things in mind. So this video is going to be very nitpicky, as you'll see. But the reason I'm doing that is because I'm trying to get you to see specifically all the little things. Because notice you're starting to go back, but look, Scherzer stays. If I were to draw a line right here in the middle of his body, and it's not really the middle. If I were to draw in the middle of this body right here, right? Watch him. Watch his head. Doesn't move at all, and he stays on the center of his mass. You, on the other hand, so let's say, so right here's your center of mass. And I just want you to look at this. Look how much, so your whole face is right here, right? Your face is outside this line, and it ends up nearly 3/4 of your head is outside of this line. So we go from here to here, okay? So with that being said, we need to, instead of taking this leg back like this, we're going to need to bring this leg just straight up. So that's one thing we'll work on. And with the database I'm going to create here in just a little bit, by this Saturday, I'm going to have a binder with everyone's stuff in it and specific things that we need to work on every single time, okay? So the number one, with every single thing that I talk about here, we're going to give pieces of homework. So all I want you to do, right, is do exactly what Scherzer's doing, which is bring it right up, right down, right up here, back down, right up, back down, just like that, just like how Scherzer's doing. Up, down. And overemphasize it too. Up, slam down. Up, slam down. Okay? So there's your first assignment of homework, okay? So there's his leg kick. Then we get into, right, this hip area. So very, very, very similar. Now notice he's got just a little bit more on his shoulders and you're a little bit more level. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but we could probably get more leverage by getting your shoulders like that. And we'll talk about why he does this specifically. So, look also where the ball goes. So, first things first, both of y'all bring the ball down. However, watch what Scherzer does. Scherzer brings it back to like his thigh, and you kind of do this hybrid of both a driver and an accelerator. Now, what an accelerator does is kind of where they just bring it up, right? Driver is, since you're taking everything to the ground, you're also taking this ball to the ground. And then when you come towards here, that's where we kick up, right? So there's another thing right there. So that's why he does the whole hip thing. And now, if you see right here, right, straight, you do have a little bit of shoulder, of your shoulders going up, which is fine. That's honestly okay with me. If we want to tweak it just a little bit, if we really want to nitpick, we can, but that's up to you, in my opinion. So another thing to work on is doing, so you get to this point, and then drive, and then start, and then, actually, I just said a lot of words that probably don't make sense. So let me try to re-explain this in English. So whenever you get to this point, all I want you to do, right, so you get to your load position right here. All I want you to do, take the ball to the ground. Ball to the ground. Ball to the ground like that. That's all I want you to practice, okay? Now, this is imperative to doing this because think about muscle memory, right? If we keep doing it over and over and over again, eventually it will become muscle memorized, right? That's at least the goal behind it. So there's your second piece of homework. Then we get to this part, right? Look at that. All varies besides the fact of him being lower to the ground, which I think we can honestly get you because you kind of start getting into your legs, but then that's okay. Seeing it more now compared to when you started to get less into your legs, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I missed that when we first started, but I think we can get more if you get into that back leg there. So maybe that's where some velo is being, well, I know there's some velo being wasted there, but maybe over time that's why. So, similar. So just imagine that you're more down, right? Very, very similar. T-spine. So look at here, okay? So this is his initial block right there, right? That's initial block. Look where he is, if I can get it specifically. Initial block, right there. See where he is. That is where we should be in initial block. So you still have your foot up. Full block, right? That's where we should be in full block. You're in initial block still. And then by the time you hit full block, you're already going, right? So think about it this way, right? And here's what I want you to think about. We're trying to create hip-shoulder separation, right? And kind of in that video that Trevor Bauer made, that's the whole goal, right? It's about when we get the hip-shoulder separation. So by doing that hip-shoulder separation, our goal is to have torque to it, right? And if as soon as we hit strike right here, think about it in terms of we hit full block there. What do we have to work with? Think about it in terms of, and I just want you to feel this. So, ask Sal about this drill because we talked about the block drill where you're in your block position and you're still closed off, okay? And I just want you to feel the difference in torque when you're there versus if you're in block and you're already opened up. You don't have much to work with. You're very, and I stood up and did this as well. You don't have much to work with versus if you're in this closed off position where you're still closed and you're about to get hip shoulder separation, you got a lot more to work with. And we will talk about that, and I will show you what I mean specifically in the next lesson. So that's another thing. I'm going to remove this for right now. So there's your third thing to work on. Do Sal's drill that I taught him. Then we get to here. So we're in block position. Both of you in block position. Actually, initial. He's already in full block. That's full block right there. Right? So you still are coming through, but it's just a little, which is honestly okay. Okay. I don't say it's okay, but the reason I'm saying that's okay is because this I think will be an easy tweak for you. because we just got to delay your hips and shoulders by a slight millisecond because you're staying closed off, but we just got to keep, if we can keep that to here and then go, right? Because look, initial, and initial, full, right? That's our goal. What Max Scherzer is, he's still closed off, but as soon as he hits initial impact, right, that's where it kind of, begins to open up, because right after initial impact, a millisecond later, is when he hits block. And after block is when we fire, right? So I think it should be a very easy fix. Now let's get into this part here, right? So look at this. Full block, his arm's going. Look at where his arm is, okay? So I'm just going to draw a line here if I can. Okay, so actually, no, that's not a great line. Let me try. Darn it. Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is where we want to begin our layback, okay? So you want to be in this 90-degree window, if I can get this to work. 90-degree window and about no less than out 90 degrees like this, and no in a 45. I know it's very difficult to show on this, but I could text you separately if you'd like me to explain this more so specifically, because it's a little bit difficult to explain on video because I'm not showing you directly. So just disregard that for now, but keep that in the back of your mind. So there's where we want to release, right? Which is what we do. So we have this layback just a little bit outside of our shoulder here, right? Versus he is keeping it back like there, and that's where he's releasing. Now that front shoulder is eventually going to come through, but that's where the layback begins right there. And your layback starts back here, but the majority comes from out here, if that makes sense. So those are a few things. Now, if you want to work on specifically getting more of this layback earlier, what I suggest is what I call the bookshelf drill, okay? So pretend like if you have a bookshelf, this is the best. So get a bookshelf, put the ball on a shelf that's high up to where it would probably be like right here if you have your arm back. Oh, actually, this is perfect right here. This is what I mean by the 45-degree window, okay? So, or really the 90 degree. So this arm we want on the outside part right here. You're within that 90-degree angle. That's where we're losing velocity. So that's what I mean for at least the 90. The 45-degree is when your arm is more so, let's see if I can get a good example here. This, okay? So his arm is no more out than 45, or no more in than 45 degrees. Okay, that's exactly what I'm trying to see. Thank God that it showed that in the video, because now I've explained it better. So back to the bookshelf drill, okay? So what you do is you have your ball and you try to leave it on the bookshelf as long as possible when you're trying to drive forward. We could do this drill during our next lesson as well. But I explained it pretty well to Sal, so just ask Sal about that specifically. But other than that, that's kind of the full analysis. As you can see, the human eye, right? If you were to ask me in human time, you would say that looks similar, right? But once you start breaking it down bit by bit, action by action, you see the differences. So hopefully that makes sense. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I am more than happy to answer them. Other than that, keep up the good work. Make sure to hone in those drills that I sent you, and specifically work on these drills and the homework that I gave you in this lesson analysis.